morning. My name is Graham Olson. Happy New Year to all of you. Wow, it's 2019. It sounds like the future. I hope that you return from Christmas break excited to see your classmates and hear some stories. Perhaps you have a story to tell about a moment of grace or laughter with your family over Christmas. Stories connect us. When our brains evolved hundreds of thousands of years ago, sharing stories with our tribes helped us find meaning and joy. One of the reasons the Bible is so powerful is because it's a collection of stories. Our challenge is to find meaning in these complex stories. However, that's not the case for today's reading. Jesus is speaking directly to us and proclaims, "Do not worry." It's not a suggestion, it's a command. Do not worry. In other words, don't be fearful about what is to come. Our liturgical theme song echoes this message, of course. I wasn't given the spirit of fear, I was given the power of love. I suspect some of you may be returning to school with some fears of your own. This morning, I'm going to share with you a trick to consider how you might turn away from those fears and instead choose God's love. In a moment, I'll play a 30-second video clip. While you watch, I want you to carefully and silently monitor the response of your mind and of your body. No, I didn't film it. I wish I did, but I didn't. Now I'm going to show you the same clip, the same images, but this time the music will be different. Again, I'm simply asking you to monitor the response of your mind and of your body. So, how did your response change based on the background music? The first time, I suspect you had an experience of calm and serenity. Perhaps you wanted to jump right in the water. But the second time, you likely felt some dread and some fear, perhaps a sense that you didn't want to keep moving forward. Who knows what's in that water? For this exercise, the images represent an event in your life. And the music represents our perception of that event. The first soundtrack is what we hear when we choose to approach a situation with love and compassion. The second one is the soundtrack of fear. It's the shark music. In today's reading, Jesus is asking us to turn down the shark music that makes us worry about things we cannot control. What a calming and empowering tool. I'd like to share with you a story from my own life where my ability to turn down the shark music allowed me to see love during a difficult time. As many of you know, I'm lucky enough to be married to Mrs. Olson. Hold for applause, okay. So back in 2013, when she and I were planning our wedding, unfortunately, my dad became ill with brain cancer. As his illness progressed, it became unclear whether or not he would live long enough to make it to the big day, which was to be a huge wedding in Santa Barbara that June. I was confused about what to do. Should we cancel the wedding so I could focus on caring for my dad? Should we keep it as is and trust the doctors that he would rebound after chemotherapy? Or should we move up the date and change the location to ensure my dad could be there? The shark music was blaring. What if we canceled plans for our perfect day for nothing because my dad lived for years to come? Or what if we chose to leave the wedding as is and my father passed away before our big day? Amidst these fears, I turned to prayer, honest conversations, and humility about how little I was actually able to control. I turned down the shark music. This allowed me to see more clearly what really mattered to me, which was doing everything that we could so that my dad could be there for that sacramental moment. We moved the wedding up 3 months into a location near my parents' home in LA. I woke up on our wedding day and realized there were two competing versions of what was about to unfold. Version 1 included shark music. It would have been a sad day where I focused on the fact that my father was slipping away and that my wife had lost her big dream wedding that she'd been planning for years. But version 2 was a day where I chose love over fear. Thankfully, that's the version I got to live. I focused on how grateful I was that my dad could be there. I experienced a deep joy and peace on our wedding day. I didn't look back longingly at where I wished we were. I didn't fear what was to come. I was fully present for my wife, for my family, for God. It was the perfect day because it was our day and everyone was there. That's my dad, my mom, and my absolutely beautiful bride. So, after the wedding, my dad's health rapidly declined, and he ended up passing away the next month. I've gone through a grieving process, and I'm now able to see my dad's light in new ways. I certainly see my dad in my son. His name is Dean. He's named after my dad. So, what about all of you? You are many years away from marriage. Take your time with that. Don't rush into it, okay? But, of course, you have challenging and stressful things on your plate. How might you find peace and a broader perspective by turning down the shark music? Freshmen? Perhaps a few of you are fearful about being cut from an athletic team over your career here at Mitty. I hope that doesn't happen. What soundtrack will you choose? I encourage you to play your serenity music. Figure out what's in your control and get to work. But also, seek the wisdom to not worry about what you can't control. Sophomores, I suspect a few of you might be experiencing a challenging time with your friends. You might be fearful of losing friendships that you've had since middle school. I hope that doesn't happen. But to be sure, ruminating over it won't help. Try turning down the shark music. It will allow you to see your relationships more clearly and be your authentic self. Juniors, perhaps you have some academic fears. You're amidst a stressful year of what I call academic alphabet soup. PSAT, SAT, ACT, AP. Where might you go to get your BA or PhD or MD? PB and J. No, that's not right. PhD. It's a lot on your plate. You might be fearful of not being good enough. Well, turn down the shark music. Be present enough to give it all your very best. Have faith that when you do, everything will fall into place, even if it turns out differently than you have imagined. It's okay to come up short sometimes. The old cliche is true. We learn more from our failures than from our successes. Seniors, college acceptance season is on the horizon. This is an exciting time, but it's a fearful time. I challenge you to turn down your shark music. Have faith that you're going to thrive wherever you end up next year because of who you are, even if it's at a different place than you've initially hoped for. Let God's plan unfold. As a certified history nerd, I'll close with a quote from the great Roman philosopher and statesman, Seneca the Younger. He said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. The majority of the things that we fear and worry about will never actually happen." A few moments ago, when I showed you the video clip a second time, you might have imagined a shark in the water ready to attack. Well, despite our fears, none of us is remotely likely to be killed by sharks. You're more likely to be killed by a vending machine falling on you than by a shark attack. It's true. Ask Siri. So, I thank you for lending me your ears. Thank you for lending me your ears and your hearts. I wish you all a wonderful first day back and a wonderful 2019.